Oh.
Well, hello and welcome back to the Shallow Proclamation. My name is Paul.
And I'm Thomas.
And we are continuing our watch through of as much Doctor Who related media as we can from 1963 onwards. We're nearing the end of Series 2 now, aren't we, Thomas? Do give us a like and a subscribe. If you enjoy the channel, do pass it on to other people as well that you think might be interested. We'd love to have people on board. Drop your comments down below. That's always good to engage with you guys, and you're always full of great information and trivia for us as well. And again, because we're so close to the end of the series, we'll do a little review at the end. Do drop some questions for that in the comments for us as well. So yeah, we're coming on to the chase, and I've been pretty excited about this one, actually. It's broadcast 22nd of May to the 26th of June 1965. Written by Terry Nation, again. Directed by Richard Martin. But I was excited about this story because I love the chase. It holds a special place in my heart because so when I was a kid, I would buy Doctor Who videos, but the chase was part of a special edition box set. My dad bought this box set, obviously around the time of the 30th anniversary, so 1993 it must have been.
Oh, look at that.
So that's a metal Dalek tin, there you go, that had two stories in. It had a Sylvester McCoy Dalek story, Remembrance of the Daleks, but it also had the chase. I think is where you can see the side of the tin there, which is quite a nice.
That's beautiful.
That's actually like raised. You know, it wasn't a picture. It was actually like embossed, kind of in it. You know,
and it's Daleks in London.
Yeah, from Dalek Invasion of Earth.
Yeah.
Just a little tidbit there for you. But it kind of, because my dad owned it, and it was like on a top shelf, like it was just up on a shelf that I couldn't reach. I didn't feel I could watch these stories until my dad watched them. And so they were like these hallowed stories that you couldn't watch, despite the fact they were sitting there and kind of were unopened. So, you know, I would just occasionally be like wanting to watch them. And I remember eventually we got around to watching them. So they've kind of got this place for me of like being these kind of stories that were like super exciting to watch. Yeah. Now, a lot of people will tell you, some people aren't very fond of the chase, right? I would say, I think it is brilliant, but you've got to take it for what it is. Enjoy it as a jolly caper and a romp. That's the best way to look at it, okay?
Not what I'd expect from a Dalek story, but hey, well, no, I'm open to it.
No, and I did see that, like, what was it? A Doctor Who magazine fan poll of the favourite stories. The chase ranked 157th overall and was the least favourite Dalek story. Not to prejudice you. So there you go. Some people obviously don't like it. From what I remember of it, I flipping love it. So
I'm excited now. It holds a special place in your heart. Yeah,
absolutely. It's got nostalgic, you know, qualities for me. So yeah, I'm keen.
Okay, well, thanks for sharing that. Shall we check it out?
Right. So do you remember at the end of the last episode we saw the Daleks? Like, they were aware of the TARDIS, weren't they, and the Doctor? Well, let's hope it doesn't disappoint. I mean, It's a romp. It's a caper.
It's a caper. Aren't they those little things you get in a jar? They're horrible. I don't like them. Oh, not the music I would expect. The Executioners, yeah, baby. Is that the machine he got from last time?
Yes, the time-space visualizer.
Quite a useful addition to the TARDIS.
Yeah, I mean, you need to have the room for it though, don't you?
That's true. You would have thought a time machine would already have a time-space visualizer, but...
Yeah, you'd think that would be built in.
I kind of like the idea that the Doctor has assembled his equipment over the years of travelling.
Yeah.
Wailing stops.
Well, they're endangered species.
So this allows you to see in time?
I think so, yeah.
What would you put into this machine, Paul?
I don't know, like, the problem is there's too much choice. Like, I mean, if you could only choose one, I mean, that's such a hard decision. I think I heard something about this guy, like, he always plays Abraham Lincoln in things or something like that.
Oh,
like he's
really?
a professional Abraham Lincoln performer.
This is actually really convincing, though, because you can't see him... Oh, now you can see him pretty clearly. Still, that's quite a good likeness, isn't it?
But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow.
Gettysburg Address. Stunning. Oh, this is pretty cool, actually. Is the whole episode going to be this? I would actually watch a whole episode of this. Wow.
Oh, so it looks like they have cut bits out. So there was a scene there where they saw the Beatles on top of the Pops.
Oh.
And Vicki said, like, oh, I didn't know, like, you had classical music in those days. And they're like, classical music? Because Ian and Barbara,
Amazing.
obviously, but apparently it's a clip from Top of the Pops. It was they'd wanted, the Beatles had been keen to be on the show and perform it themselves. But their manager said no. They were going to actually have them dressed as if they were old men in the 21st century. But their manager didn't think it was a good idea. So they used footage from a Top of the Pops episode. But that Top of the Pops episode is now wiped. So actually the only place you could see the Beatles actually performing on Top of the Pops was on this episode of The Chase. But now it's been edited out for some kind of rights issue. So
Someone's got to have a copy somewhere.
oh yeah, it's bound to be around. That's a shame. It's such a nice little scene as well.
Can anyone in the comments write where we might be able to see the original clip?
Yeah,
Maybe we can react to that at some point. Yeah, because I asked you ages ago, do the Beatles ever appear in Doctor Who? Is this the moment you were referring to?
This is what I was referring to. So the fact it's been cut out is even worse.
What a shame. What a shame. That's so cool, though.
At least it's not a pool of acid.
Oh, little Web Planet reference there.
Yeah.
So this is the only story to feature a Dalek that sounds stupid.
How do you define stupid?
You'll know him when you hear him. I think this is the first time you hear them say exterminate. On screen it's never referred to as this, but this has become known as the DARDIS. The TARDIS magnet.
What's the TARDIS magnet?
No idea. It's
like
a convenient plot device for this week's story.
It's like a fridge magnet. Oh. Oh. How sick is that? Oh my goodness. It gets better and better. They had one coming out of the water in the Dalek invasion of Earth. Oh. Yes.
It's slightly making funny noises, like it's going, ah.
It's well, I thought that was flipping brilliant.
Yeah?
Just great. Yeah. Everything I'd want from a Doctor Who episode. I had that really cool beginning, like looking through time. That was just a bit of fun, really, wasn't it? Abraham Lincoln, Shakespeare. And then a nice bit of tension there, arid planet. And then you only see the Dalek. Well, you tease the Daleks from their own ship early on, but you only see one actually near them right at the end. Kind of like the first episode of Dalek Invasion of Earth with it coming out of the water. I thought that was great. What about you?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well. I love the chase. I think it's great. And I mean, that end shot with the Dalek coming out the sand, it was a model shot, but they did try and do it with a real Dalek in at Camber Sands. They were going to put it in the sandbank and pull it out with a Land Rover, but apparently it was just like the sand filled it up and it was just too heavy, couldn't move it. So they had to abandon the shot.
It pulled the Land Rover down. Into the sand.
There is a shot. There are a couple of pictures knocking around online of the Dalek kind of in the sand, like the actual full-size model. But they were deliberately trying to one-up the Dalek coming out of the water at the end of episode 1 of Dalek Invasion of Earth. So, they were going for that. So, I think it works. I think it still looks good anyway, even though it's only a model. But yeah, I think it's just good fun. And like all the stuff with the space-time visualizer at the beginning. I'm really gutted they cut out the Beatles bit, because that's such a shame, particularly with Vicki kind of saying, Ian and Bart. And also, not only does Vicki have this great bit about like, I didn't know you were into classical music, and Ian and Barbara are like, oh, classical. But there's this, when the Beatles are playing, there's a great bit of Ian like going like this, like
No
doing a
way.
like really funny dance, like, and it's just gutting that they've taken that out. So
Yeah, if anyone knows where that is, please send it to us. Cause
we need to see it. So.
we're both big Beatles fans, aren't we? So that'd be cool.
And I love the idea of like the Daleks pursuing them through time. That's a nice idea.
Yeah, because I'm kind of used to that in the modern era, the idea that the Daleks have time travel, but it's cool. You kind of see the evolution of the Daleks as you watch classic era. You know, when we first met them on Skaro, they were pretty limited, weren't they? Like they couldn't even leave their base because they had to be in contact with the special floor. So already they've become a lot more advanced, which is quite cool to see. And how they all have slightly different voices and personalities.
And I think this is the first time the Daleks recognise the Doctor as well. Like, kind of talking about him being the enemy time capsule and stuff. Whereas in the first two stories, obviously the Doctor doesn't know them at all in the Daleks and Dalek Invasion of Earth. He knows them, but they don't recognise him in any way. So you're beginning to get this kind of... They're kind of becoming the big bad of the series, aren't they, of the show, that they are the nemesis of the Doctor.
Yeah, you mentioned that one of the Daleks had a silly voice. Were you referring to the one at the end there, or...?
That one does have a silly voice, but there's one Dalek who, for the whole thing, he's got a really low voice, and he's like, we don't know what to do. You know, he just talks in a really stupid voice. So you got to listen out for him when he gets more lines. And that's why some people don't like The Chase, because they feel it's like too comedic, like it's just like it's become a bit of a joke. But I think if you just sit back and like take it for what it is, I think it's really enjoyable.
Thanks for watching, everyone, and do give us a subscribe if you enjoyed this, and if you'd like to join us for the next part of The Chase. And again, if you have any questions for our Series 2 review, then pop them in the chat, in the comments, and say that they're for the Series 2 review. And it's nice when we do these reviews, well, we've only done one, but we have the live chat coming in, so if you join us live, you can pop in your thoughts and answer the questions for yourselves as well. It's a nice sort of environment.
Do our best.
Well, see you next week. Well, next time. Bye.
See ya.
Don't wanna hold